I think one comment that I would have is in 1605, when Champlain was in this area, he noted that there were no arrowheads in the area. Would you have any comments on that, Lenny?
Yes, I guess it was in the Maine Archaeological Society a couple springs ago. They had mentioned that all they were using for projectile points at the time were the tail of the horseshoe crab, or bone points, or they were hardening the wooden shaft in the fire to harden the tip. But basically at that point, there were no stone points on arrowheads that was documented in 1605 or before. I guess it was technology that had, for some reason or another, kind of gone by. Either they had lost the ability to come up with some really good quarries to harvest the material. So if you have a lack of material, you're not going to be refining that type of artifact anymore. You know, I won't get into too many theories on why I think that the stone tools slowly disappeared, but you know, that's something for the book I'll be putting forward, I guess.
Also, Lenny, I want to point out that I've also extensively studied battlefield sites out west. I've looked at some cavalry forts where there are known battles have taken place. Generally, the arrowheads there are very plain. I've got 5 of them right here, which I've found on those sites. You can see that they're just very easy to notch on a shaft. They don't take long to produce. Also, I found a lot of metallic points or trade points, which were used after 1863. Now, these points all support his theory. I think all these semi-precious stones also support his theory. I want to point out this small one, you know, which is made of agate, very semi-precious stone. I believe the men went looking for these stones for the women to produce the arrowhead. They were pretty much used like jewelry as women use jewelry today. This one was probably used as a necklace or a small punch. This one is made of a very semi-precious agate. You can see all the work that was involved producing something beautiful like that. You know that wasn't used as an arrowhead. You can fit that in with your fingers. You can feel that it was used as a finger tool. Some of these are curved, you know, which they were used as awls or punches. So in general, we have made false assumptions over the years. He's putting this article out for discussion. Once it's in writing, people can praise it or criticize it. But it's very important to get his theory in writing, and that's why I pretty much support his theory. So in summary, I would say that these were women's hand tools. They were probably lashed or tied. They could have been used as small knives, awls, scrapers, and when you look at it, it was a woman's toolkit that they carried with them everywhere they went. They probably were in small bags or lashed to their clothing. But it supports the theory, it supports Lenny's theory that these are hand tools and not projectile points.
This is a typical flake. All 3 of these artifacts are from out west. But this is just a typical flake that they would have knocked out to use as a finger tool. There again, I coined the phrase finger tool because all we had to go by for was a hand tool. But tools used in the fingers should have some distinction, so I came up with the term finger tool. This one is about the most common that they were knocking out. It has all the features to help them advance on to more modern flaking procedures. It has a central ridge coming down the middle and beveled on both sides. On the opposite side, it has a typical flat side where the thumb would fit, and this one is quite concave as well. There again showing that it wasn't any kind of projectile. And There again, it fits in the fingers in both directions. You get your flat side for your thumb, and the fingers go on either side of the tall ridge, just like they do on the thumbnail scrapers. You got a tool that works in both directions, and just like a ulu, as I was describing earlier, the woman's tool, this is a great cutting tool on both sides as well, and it fits the fingers in all four directions. Talk about a Swiss Army knife. You can't get a more functional tool than a scraper that's going to work for you in all four directions. Actually, it's a scraper and a cutting tool, I would assume. Then you get on to a piece of red chert, a jasper. That actually is what they call a thumbnail scraper. It has a lifted, sharp nose or edge on it that was purposely knocked up for scraping. And there again, this one has a central ridge, but it's off to the side a little bit, which is going to help further elaborate on my theories that the biface tools that had bevels on the edges, the bevels were there again for finger positions. And this one is flat on the bottom, the central ridge, and the fingers fit on either side, and you have a thumbnail scraper. So when those got short and dull from use, and they've knocked it down, sharpened it several times, and they get short like this where the fingers are close to the work, they would just discard that. And you can see there's no notching, there's no area that shows where it's hefted, there's no glue marks, and where they knocked all the little high points down off these ridges intentionally to fit the fingers, and then the polish shows over time from the finger use. It's quite self-evident that this was a finger tool. And most experts would agree that these weren't hefted or tied into a handle, at least not in this state. And I agree, after I wrote a nice theory saying they were hefted, I had to disprove my own theory by coming up with 1,400 thumbnail scrapers. I basically proved that the finger positions are there and they were finger tools.